Hello and welcome to the next episode here of Phoenix Rising Live. It's always wonderful to share it with you all. This is my passion, my self-expression. Sharing these videos, all it takes is one person to be impacted. In fact, it doesn't even take that. It's simply an opportunity to share. And the idea of today or this evening of this episode is that you are a multi-vibrational being, having multiple components within you, multiple different vibrations, multiple different states of being, sort of like channel surfing. All of these different states of being are accessible within you. And it's your decision which one to align with. And we can be having multiple experiences at the same time. Seemingly, they're actually happening within split seconds of one another, but it blends together to make it feel continuous, like a continuum of an experience, even though they are very selective, very distinguished from one another. And as you grow in your consciousness, you'll actually see the splits more often. And this idea of the splitting prism, which we are experiencing now on a planetary level, seeing all the different vibrational states of being across the globe, all the different realities that seem to be coexisting simultaneously, but they're not necessarily existing in your reality. And it's the same thing with your own vibrational being, your own multi-vibrational states can be selected, can be chosen, simply because there's a part of you that you may have identified with in the past as being in a lower level of consciousness, a lower energy state, some form of negativity. Just because you're seeing that in yourself doesn't mean it has to be a part of you. It doesn't mean that you have to choose it. Everything's a part of you, but it's a matter of deciding whether to choose it or not, whether to embrace it as your experience. You can explore it. If you consistently choose something that you don't prefer, then you need to explore it in order to find out the reason why. You can't resist that. You can't sweep it under the rug. But this is the reason why, in some cases, we find alignment within ourselves, or we find alignment between us and another person because they're aligned, we're aligned simultaneously, and sometimes that alignment is lacking. They're not seeing it. That vibration shifts. You have a thought of doubt, a thought of disbelief, a thought of uncertainty. Now that's a different vibrational reality. And of course, the more masterful you are, the more practiced you are, you can simply switch back into the more natural state, the more fluid state. But understanding this makes it very straightforward in dealing with people because you recognize that you're not always dealing with the same person. In fact, the person that you're dealing with, if it's another human being, is a different person every moment. And you're a different person every moment. So having appreciation for that allows you to be more forgiving, allows you to be less judgmental, allows you to let go of the preconceived ideas or expectations, or let go of insisting that something needs to be a particular way because, well, you said this. Well, so what? Who was that person when they said that? Now, I'm not making excuses for a lack of integrity or saying one thing and then doing another. I'm not suggesting that's a way to be. What I'm suggesting is that's why people are that way. That's why they do that, because they're in different states. That's one of the greatest challenges in the coaching industry is people end up investing in themselves at a grand seminar or they watch a webinar and they get into a heightened state. They're getting acclimated to a different vibration, whether that's a natural higher state for them or an elicited elated state. That's their own unique experience. But then they procrastinate. They invest a bunch of money in themselves and then they don't do anything with it. Why? Because they're no longer in that same state that they were when they took action with. And that state that they took action in may not even be a natural state or an authentic state. It may have been provoked. It may have been influenced. Now, that's all part of the experience that the person who manifested it is looking to create for themselves in order to learn and grow, albeit it can seem frustrating for them because they may not understand it with full consciousness. However, that's the process. That's the process we're all in. We're all dealing with these multiple dimensions of ourselves, these multiple vibrations within ourselves. So it's our decision to choose which do we align with, which aligns with our heart and mind in the greatest way, which brings us the greatest level of power and authenticity within ourselves, that feeling of knowing that you're doing the right thing at the right time with the right people within yourself. How do you find that state? It's predominantly based on that experience. Does it feel aligned? Does it feel natural? If it's feeling good, then you know you're on the right track. However, to insist that you keep doing it that way is nonsensical because it's continuously evolving. Even the systems you may put in place are continuously evolving. We're not robots. We're human beings. We're having a human experience. And that brings a level of flexibility in what we're creating. Of course, you can have a structure. Existence itself is structured, so it makes sense that it be mirrored in what you're doing daily. But that structure doesn't have to be designed for control. It can be designed for freedom. However, that structure can still have rules and boundaries and limitations built within it, because that may be what's required to allow it to function. So understanding yourself at the deepest level is what allows you to see these different vibrations within you and allows you to choose and identify and align with the ones that are most conductive to your growth, to connecting with your soul. And the good news is that you can't mess it up. There's nothing you can get wrong with it. You can potentially delay circumstances, but not really. If you're acting from a place of alignment to the best of your ability, you're needing to go through whatever you need to go through. And the fact is, everyone's always doing that. Everyone's always doing the best they can with what they have access to in their consciousness in any given moment. Because if they knew differently, they would do differently. If you knew differently, if you knew better in the past, you would have done better. If you knew better now, you'd do better. There's obviously a version of you that's more enlightened, more successful, more conductive to source power. That version of you obviously exists. So what can you do to tune into it? To the best of your ability without straining yourself, because it's also about what's most relevant for you right now. There may be a fully enlightened version of you on the planet, but is that version of you necessary and relevant for your current experience and exploration of consciousness? For most of us, the answer is no. It's not relevant. It's possible. It's just not relevant. It's just not probable because it doesn't need to be. So simply accepting that everything that's happening in your life is what you need to have happening, and to let go of wanting to look for other answers, letting go of wanting to force things to change. Just allow things to be as they are. And yes, it's a transformational process. Yes, it's a grieving process because you're letting go of wanting to control things. You're letting go of wanting things to be different than they are. That's a grieving process as you release these vibrations within yourself that are not assisting you. The idea of being impatient, right? You have your impatient self and you have your patient self. And then you have a version of yourself where neither of those concepts are even relevant one way or the other because you're just so fully in the moment. All these vibrations are within you. It's just which ones are you paying attention to? And again, if you're paying attention to the ones that you don't prefer, look to the reasons why. Why would you do that? How do you feel it's serving you? Can you just allow life to unfold one moment at a time without needing to plan? And when I say without needing to plan, I'm not taking away from the idea of organized planning. If you're inspired to put together a plan, but to do it so that you have a sense of control, or so that you're avoiding an uncomfortable feeling because now you have a quote unquote plan in place, which is probably never going to pan out the way you're thinking anyway. I mean, think of the plans you've made in your life. Have they always worked out the way that you intended? And it depends on where you are in your vibration, but most likely if you're on the spiritual path, right? Well, how's that phrase go? God laughs at our plans, something of that nature. How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans. So it's not to say not to plan, but built into every plan is also the idea that it may not go according to plan. And so having these multiple dimensions within yourself, these multiple vibrations, is a great opportunity to align with that freedom. And it's a great opportunity to have compassion for yourself and for other beings, because everyone's going through this experience in their own unique way. So there's nothing to judge, but you do want to have those rules and boundaries and limitations in place so that things aren't totally off track. You know that you're at point A and you can be intentional about going to point B, but to what degree do you need to control that versus allowing it to unfold in the way that it needs to? You have to use your inner compass. It's like that lane changing mechanism in your car. If you go too far left or too far right, you get a little indicator. So pay attention to that, and without overthinking it. When you get a nudge, just ponder it lightly, utilize it. And is it right or wrong? Who knows? But is it keeping you on track? That's the point. Is it keeping you relevant to what you need? If the answer is yes, then it's working for you. So the way spirit operates, the way existence operates, it's simple, it's straightforward, it's direct. It's not complicated. There's complex systems built within it, obviously, but it's not complicated, it's not confusing. There's a great level of clarity that comes from within the structure of existence when you allow it to work for you, rather than trying to figure out the way things need to be. It's not necessary, it's not relevant. If you're listening to this, it's no longer relevant for you. For some people, they need to explore that theme because they need to beat themselves up a little bit. Why? Because that's the process they're in. That's what's working for them. But inevitably you realize that doesn't help me. It hurts me. And so you decide to give the reins over to your higher power. That's where everything's being conceived from anyway. It's just your job to receive from it, your job to tune into it, your job to take action on what you're inspired to do. That's it. The world's your oyster. It's here to be your friend. It's here to support you. It's here to love and embrace you. And it supports whatever you believe about it. If you believe the world is a friendly place, you'll have those experiences. You'll find the opportunities that match and mirror that. And you'll be repelled by the ones that don't. And if you believe the world's a place of suffering and pain, then you'll find experiences that match that. The world loves you unconditionally. God loves you unconditionally. That means you're supported in your beliefs, no matter what you choose to believe. So what do you choose to believe? What do you wish to be supported in? Make that decision as specifically as you want or as general as you want. And simply when you're following that process, allow passion to be your guide. Allow that inner passion, that inner enthusiasm, that inner feeling. Allow that to be your guidance mechanism in how you proceed in your life. It will always steer you in the right direction and take you on a journey that you likely unexpected, but will find favorable and fortunate to you and undoubtedly allow you to grow. It's all in your best fortune. Everything you experience is here for your greater good. You are the luckiest person on the planet. Every human being is, because we're all equally one. We're all equally lucky. No one's unlucky. If they have the perception that they're unlucky, they're lucky because they're being supported in that perception and they're choosing that experience. Consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter. It's all you. Your higher self is you. You are your higher self. Your human self is your higher self. It's part and parcel. Surrender your human self to the higher self. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And you can live in the powerful flow of your life that is guiding you on a river of ecstasy and joy and happiness with every interaction. There's no reason to settle for anything less. And I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you tuning in, being a part of my network. Tune in on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for the Phoenix Rising Masterclass. Join me as we join collectively as a group, navigating this amazing journey from a human perspective, tuning into the higher perspective, and allowing higher knowledge to be our guide, to influence us in the most positive way. Much love, and I will see you on the next episode of Phoenix Rising Live. Bye for now.